Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Full Potential Show. I'm James Rick, and this is your number one non-boring source for personal development. And today on the line, we have Steve Olsher. Steve is an award-winning author, keynote speaker, and known as America's reinvention expert. We're going to talk about his book today, a Journey to You, a step-by-step guide to becoming who you were born to be, and how to discover the one thing you were born to do in 3 simple steps. You never thought it was so easy. Steve, glad to have you on the show.
Thanks, my man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. We're excited to learn how to be what we're born to be. I know there's a lot of questions right now, and I know this book is particularly timely for those that are in transition. So first, let's talk about the inspiration behind the book. What made you write it? And then let's talk about what those steps might be.
Sure. So, long story short, I'm a lifelong entrepreneur. I've had stints in damn near any industry you can think of, from radio and DJing to catalogs and .com, real estate, and now personal development. I've always been inherently wired to try to make a dollar out of a couple of quarters. So, I mean, it's just the nature of the beast for me. It's in the DNA. Mm-hmm. But about 4 years ago, going back to your question in terms of what was the impetus for writing the book, I was with my stepfather, who was very much a father to me since I was 10 years old. Actually, he was on his deathbed, just had succumbed finally to the illness that had really consumed him for years. And in his final days, I was with him holding his hand. He could no longer communicate verbally, but I think that he connected with me through that point of physical contact, because I actually had a vision of my funeral, not his funeral, but my funeral. And I could hear the words being spoken graveside as I was being lowered into the earth in that dark, damp casket. And the words that were spoken were, "Here lies Steve Olsher. He dedicated his life to chasing the almighty dollar." And that's all that was said. And it really hit me hard, because it became pretty clear that my life was of meaning to me and those closest to me, but really no one else. And my stepfather, I believe, was really imploring me to shift and showing me the inevitable paths that I faced, where I could continue down the path that would leave me at a point where the legacy that I would create would not be commensurate with really how I'm inherently wired to excel, or I could move in a divergent direction that would be more congruent with who I am, and begin sharing the tips and tools and strategies and shortcuts that had worked well for me with others. And that's when I started putting pen to paper and started divesting myself of the activities that literally were slowly killing me. And
it's interesting how in a lot of the guests that I've interviewed, they have that moment when they actually start thinking about death. It's like we as human beings love to put that thought off, right? It's like, me die? No way, especially when we're younger. But when it impacts us through somebody close, or when we really start to consider that time here is short, that we have a finite amount of time to use, when we actually consider that, it really changes the life path. Now, you think if you'd had this experience with your stepfather sooner, that you would have made the changes sooner, or do you think you needed to be at that point in your life?
Yeah, I think Dr. Wayne Dyer says it best, and he says that everything that happens to us in life, no matter how painful, eventually leads us to a place of higher value. And so I think, in my opinion, that I needed to be at that place at that time and had to experience what I experienced in order to be ready to receive that message and act upon it. So I'm not sure that had I heard that same message and seen that same vision in my 20s or 30s, that I would have been ready. And
so the timing, it was all for a reason. All right, let's talk about your book then, that has been a product of this shift in perspective. This is to help people discover the one thing that they're meant to do in 3 simple steps. You've done a great job of narrowing it down and simplifying. Let's talk about what that is.
Sure.
What should somebody do that's watching right now? They're in transition. I mean, we're in an economy unlike any time that most people, unless they're like 100 years old, have lived through. And so there's a lot of transition going on. People trying to figure out where is their place in this world. recommendations or what steps would you advise them to go through on that?
Sure. So just to clarify, the the question that I have people ask, and certainly they have to be able to answer, is what is your what? What is that one thing that you're absolutely compelled to do? And once you can answer that question, I mean, literally everything else falls into place. You won't have enough hours in the day to get done what you got to get done. You'll jump out of bed with fire every morning, and literally things that used to bother you will carry a lot less weight. So you have to be able to answer that question. And in the book, Journey to You, and by the way, I know we discussed this, but I'll throw it in here as well. I mean, people can grab a free copy of this book simply by going to journeytoyou.com. And I do give the book away for free because, look, I want people to discover what it is they're compelled to do. And if they go out and pursue that with reckless abandon, ultimately that makes my world a better place. So, I mean, it's it's a good thing. So I encourage people to go and take a look at that.
But the website is journeytoyou.com, and you can pick up a free copy. There's no limit. If you go to journeytoyou.com right now, you'll be able to get a free copy of the book.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so in the book, there's a more extensive exercise, which takes about 15 minutes, but I know our interview is shorter than that. So we'll keep it brief here. But the bottom line is that the exercise is called the 7 Seeds of Your Soul. And literally in about 15 minutes, you'll become very clear on what your what is. But there are 3 steps that you can take right now towards discovering what it is that you're compelled to do. Number 1, you have to give yourself the time and permission. And so I know that might not seem like a very powerful concept, but reality is we're always moving and grooving and doing so much and
Yes.
just stacking the schedule
Yes.
that we seldom take the time to really understand who we are and how we're inherently wired to excel. So by watching this interview, you're giving yourself that time and that permission. By reading a book such as Journey to You, or What Color is Your Parachute, or The Passion Test, or whatever it might be, I mean, just make sure you pursue it, but grant yourself that time, give yourself that permission, because ultimately there's only 2 ways to use your time. You can spend your time or you can invest your time. And so most people spend their time, few people invest their time. And that's a huge step in the right direction.
It's an important distinction, yes. And also on the time and permission piece, I think it's great, watching this interview and reading the book, but I also think it's important to unplug as well, giving that time and permission in the state of almost silence and not doing, because we feel like we always have to be doing something. Even if we're not working, we have to be doing something recreational. But just like you said, giving yourself time and permission to actually do nothing is incredibly powerful in a clarifying way. So, all right, so that's step number 1.
Yeah, step number 2 is a lot of people just have to get out of denial about what their what is, because inherently, I think most of us know. We bury it for whatever reason, but yeah, I got to tell you, from the experience that I have in working with so many people mostly have a pretty good sense of what it is that they're compelled to do, but they deny themselves and everyone that gift because they feel they don't have the knowledge to bring it to fruition. They think others won't approve. They don't see how they can make money doing that. They think that they don't have enough time. I mean, et cetera, et cetera. So whether it's being in denial or whether it's making excuses, whatever you want to call it, the fact is that you have to honor what's inherently there.
So once you get clear on this thing that you're supposed to be doing, you're going to feel resistance to doing it. And you're going to have a million excuses, and you're saying that you've got to get out of that state of denial now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so resistance is the first step towards change. I mean, we have to be able to recognize that getting out of your restricted circle of comfort is an imperative first step on this journey of having an inordinate impact on the world. You can't have the type of impact that will resonate with those who share this life with you, and also potentially of those in lifetimes to come, unless you're willing to do something extraordinary.
And it's funny if you think about it. No person, I get no sane person isn't going to feel resistance once they've come to an idea or come to a purpose that is different from everything else that they've done in their life. It's inevitable. They're going to have resistance. They're going to have denial.
Yeah, and you got to get off that rewind button, because far too many people have already experienced life in whatever way, shape, or form they feel they needed to experience it. and they go back to whatever they know. At some point, they effectively turned off the record button, and so we gotta encourage you to turn that record button back on and start having some new experiences. So number 3, a lot of people also have to go farther back in their life to really connect with who they inherently are. And at some point, I do believe that we each had a pretty decent understanding of what it is that we're compelled to do. But life happens and it throws you off path. And so maybe when you were younger, you liked to paint. And so all your favorite colors, were in the blue family, and your mama's favorite colors were all in the white family. So all of your paint was blue and all of her carpet was white. And one day the two met. And it wasn't like this Reese's peanut butter cup moment, with chocolate and peanut butter and everybody's happy. When that blue paint met the white carpet, you got yelled at. And you buried that to the nether regions, never to be heard from by anyone, including you, ever again. And so if that's the case, you may just have to go farther back in your life to reconnect with what it is that you're compelled to do.
Well, and what I hear you saying is that whatever pain, especially as a child, we often link up pain to whatever is around at that time. It can become a disruptor. If we're naturally inclined to paint, we will no longer paint. We'll shut that off. If we were naturally inclined to do something, but we experience pain as a child, we shut that part off as a survival mechanism. And what you're saying is get in touch with what has happened in your past where pain may have occurred and shut off the more healthier and productive parts of you that you were no longer accessing.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great way to say it. Absolutely.
All right. So the website is steveolsher.com. You can learn more about Steve at steveolsher.com. Now, the book, and there's a free copy for anybody that wants to go grab one, is, again, Steve, just want to make sure it's journeytoyou.com.
Journeytoyou.com. You got it.
Journeytoyou.com. He's giving away free copies of the book that's going to help you get on that journey or stay on that journey to you. And we've had 3 lessons here today about giving yourself the time and permission to see who you are and what you're wired to do. Get out of denial, because anything you're going to do that's life-changing is going to create resistance. And that's a clue that you're on the right track, right, Steve?
Absolutely.
And the third thing is to go further back and get connected with maybe some of the things from your childhood that were painful that you've shut off that will help you in this journey back to you and doing what your purpose is. Steve, I want to thank you for being on today's Full Potential Show and sharing your insights. I encourage everybody to go to journeytoyou.com and be sure and like and subscribe to the Full Potential Show so you can get more great insights from people like Steve and the freebies that you'll only find right here on the Full Potential Show. Steve, have a wonderful afternoon there in Chicago.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Steve, I know you've got an event coming up in June. This show will be out before then. Why don't you do a quick shout out on what that event is and where people can go to learn more?
Sure. So what I've discovered is that just really having your what in hand, again, what is your what? That's fantastic. But you have to have the how. You have to have the how to bring that to fruition, how to monetize what it is that you're compelled to do. So we're actually, I have a new book coming out, which is called Internet Profits, and it's going to be released this spring. And Internet Profits Live will take place in Chicago June 8th through the 10th. You can find out more information at Internet Profits Live. That's PROPHETS live.com, and the event's stacked full of the world's leading experts. We got 18 speakers, no BS, no hard selling, just straight content. Mike Filsame, Armin Marin, Mark Ostrovsky, and it's stacked. It's going to be a fantastic event.
The website is internetprofitslive.com, right?
You got it.
Internetprofitslive.com. That is your how once you got your purpose. Steve, I want to thank you for being on today's Full Potential Show, buddy. Have a great afternoon there in Chicago, and I hope it's not too cold for you.
Hey, we love it today, man. It's 45. I love this global warming.
I hear that across the country. All right, man. Take care.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of the Full Potential Show, your #1 non-boring source for personal development. I'm James Rick, and if you want to get more positive programming for your brain absolutely free on a weekly basis, just visit fullpotential.com.
If you like the Full Potential Show, you're going to love the Full Potential Club. What would you like most as a Full Potential Club member? Be 2 to 3 times more productive? Do what you're passionate about? Have more energy? Reduce your work hours? Travel the world? Enjoy an amazing lifestyle on a frugal budget? What if you could do them all? James Rick has been there and done it in ways that few people have. For anyone serious about taking their life or business to the next level, you know you've got to do more than just watch. You've got to do. Join James Rick and other like-minded people for an incredible $10 a month at fullpotential.com/club. Be educated. Be empowered. Be the best version of you. fullpotential.com/club. Try it free for 30 days.